All right, so this is going to be part two of the Mustang window gasket replacement and interior work. To recap real quick what we did on the last video. If you didn't see it, you can check it out. The last video was really just about removing the windows. I explained that, talked about the headliner, and you want to do the headliner with the glass out. Had to do the glass because it was leaking. Original gaskets. Got that mess cleaned up. What a disaster that was, just from people trying to improperly fix this over the years instead of just replacing the gasket. Anyway, so you can check that out. Maybe I'll stick a link up here. So here's what's happened since the last video. I've been kind of touching stuff just as I can. I pulled the interior quarters out. By the way, if you put the 3-point seatbelt conversion in, unless you drill the holes big enough in the quarter trims, you can't get them off. I actually had to drill the rivets out. I'm going to attempt to modify it so I can get it on and off without having to take the captive riveted T-stud out. I may not be able to do that. The hole may end up having to be too big. I'm going to take some measurements. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I talked to somebody else that's got them as well. He told me he had to do the same thing when you want to pull them out. So we've completely stripped the headliner since the last video. Not hard. One of the things that I didn't cover in the last video because I just forgotten about it was you have to take the head rail out of here that has the weather stripping in it. So you take the weather stripping out, which need to be replaced anyways. I might have talked about it, but I didn't do it in the video. Anyhow, you take that out, and it's just got a bunch of self-tapping screws in here. I've put the screws back in just so I don't lose them. That allows you access to the lip, obviously, where the headliner goes. So I took those out on both sides, got the quarter trims out. The other thing I'm doing is that while I'm in here, I did buy all the belt line, weather stripping, and everything. These are very easy to replace. I did replace these. This one's got 3 clips on it and a screw in front, self-tapping screw right here. I was able to get to it. You don't have to take the window out or anything. So I did that. I'd like to do these on here as well. I have them. I used to call these whiskers and wipers. I think my dad probably taught me that when I was a kid. Maybe that's what he called them, but I think they call it belt line. Anyways, that's what keeps this thing from rattling when you're driving down the road. And obviously it's worn out. I think the window's got to come out for me to do them, though. On the front here, I just don't think that there's enough room to sneak it in here like I did with the quarter windows, because the quarter windows, the inside whiskers are part of the quarter trim, and it's not here right now, obviously, because I have that out. So I'll probably pull the doors apart at some point in the future. Not going to do it right now. The one thing I'm going to attempt to do is replace the weather stripping on the quarter windows because it's shot. And that should keep the windows from leaking. Not that they leak very much at all. The big problems were the windshield and the rear window. This has all been painted now. It's all taken care of. All the holes are filled. I installed the new clips. Don't know why. I think I talked about this before. Half of them are stud clips. Half of them are screw clips. Don't know. I have no clue. Anyways, put the new ones on there. I've got a new package tray for it. It's already covered. It's a TMI package tray. I'm going to have to modify it. If you remember, I have 3-point seat belts in the rear here. And I made UHMW guides for it. So this is all nice and everything, but the problem is that the package tray, I have to have a cutout in it. So I'm going to have to, it's a vinyl covered package tray. I'm going to have to debond the vinyl and do a cutout and do a little bit of upholstery work there to make that work. I'll cover that in the future. It's going to be one of the very last things that I do. The insulation kits, for whatever reason, doesn't come with new insulation for the sails. I'm just going to leave the old stuff in there. It's fine. Don't know why the new one didn't come with it. I didn't feel like cutting my own. I'm just going to leave it in there. We do have the new insulation to go on the roof, so I cleaned off all the old stuff as best as I could, took a shop vac to it, and we'll just use some contact cement and put those up. Probably tomorrow, because I want the Bose to hold that in. I think I talked about making sure that you keep the order of your Bose correct. It's because they are all different. These two in the middle might be the most similar, but certainly the rear and the front are completely different. I marked them, and I marked them 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've also put marks that correspond with this single line right here. If you can see it, the little yellow lines. I've marked that on the holes because there's multiple holes in here. I think from the factory, they put multiple holes in to give them options on how to fit the headliner. So I'm going to put it back exactly the way that it was. That's what everybody's told me. Jack at Jack's Auto Upholstery, the guy's 83 years old, and he has been doing this all his life, and he gave me a lot of great tips. We got the wires back there. They're just hanging to the two wires that holds that rear bow. It's very important. So it's ready for the headliner. Some things that I did, some kind of additional work that I did. We'll take a look inside here real quick. I'll probably catch some grief from this, but this is where my engineering brain kicks in. A lot of people put the divider in here. I don't have it. I couldn't get it soon enough, and I need to get this car back together. A lot of people put the divider in, and it serves two purposes. One of them is to shield off the trunk from the car. That's kind of a noise and potentially safety thing, although I think if you get rear-ended bad enough where the gas tank explodes, you got a bigger problem. Or catches fire, probably wouldn't explode. You know, it's not like it always is here in Hollywood. The cars don't just explode like they do in the movies. They burn. The real purpose behind this, though, and you can see it, it's very pronounced here, and on the other side, you can see how it's bowed. See how it's bowed out right there? This should have been gusseted from the factory, and so I added these gussets. I had some 6061 lying around. Did a little bit of geometry to figure out where the best points were to get an isosceles triangle here. That's going to give you the strongest gusset. That keeps, when the car is in torsion, that keeps this joint from moving right here on either side. And you can see over the years it's moved. That's why it's so bent right here. This will stiffen the car up substantially. I can definitely see that where the wheel wells are. It's going to stiffen this car up. Everybody swears by putting the divider in here. Like I said, I didn't have the divider, so I just decided to gusset it. So in torsion, this is just as strong as putting the divider in here. And go ahead and argue with me, but you're wrong. In torsion. In the other axis, in the XY axis, or in the X axis, it is not. It would be stronger with the divider, but that's not where the load is. The load path is here. So this is in compression and tension. So definitely you can hear when you hit it here, it sounds way more, way more stiff than it was. So I've had other people tell me this really stiffens the car up suspension-wise. So anyways, I threw it in there because I'm in here. Whether it does anything or doesn't, I suspect that it will. Cleaned and lubricated the guides and the tracks for the quarters, the quarter windows. They work, so that's a good thing to do while you're in here. So Dan's coming down tomorrow, and we're gonna do this headliner together, and hopefully it doesn't give us too much grief. I think it's just one of those patience things that you do. So we'll get it done. We'll get it all back together. We did get the seats, and here they are. Just absolutely gorgeous work. Now, of course, they're TMI covers, so that's already premium stuff, but I didn't do them myself. And you know what? I'm glad, because I had a lot of people tell me after I posted this up on the Vintage 6 forum. One guy said he fought with them for 2 days trying to put them on, ended up giving up because he was afraid that he was going to ruin the seat covers, and took it to a professional, and he said it was the smartest thing he ever did. So I'm feeling like I really made the right decision there. These took 3 months to get. They're back ordered. And they're TMI, very expensive. I don't want to ruin one. So I'm really glad that I had a professional do them, and boy, did they come out nice. Just new foam and everything. Just beautiful work. So we're going to be able to have this car back together. I didn't expect to have these back for a week. So it's all good stuff. So we'll probably time lapse this job. I'll shoot some segments probably in between, but it's kind of a big area to cover, and I'll share anything that I'm learning along the way about putting the headliner in, because I think I've had people tell me you should have redone the seats and spent the money having the headliner done. Well, you got to have the car practically apart, which means you got to get it. You can't disassemble it yourself, which means you got to pay somebody to disassemble it and do the interior, and that's just getting into the thousands of dollars, and it's just not something I have the appetite for. So, I'm going to use this as a learning experience and just get it done. So just doing a quick shoot on the phone here. Sorry, audio probably sucks. They had these stapled with those real heavy duty staples. I don't have any of those. They have holes that are in the whiskers already, but it's not going to line up with where it was. So I'm just going to rivet these. I'm going to rivet it on. Now to get these apart, I just took my diagonal cutters and snipped each one of the staples. Yeah, I snipped the staples, and we'll just pull those out of there, because there's no unfolding these. I mean, these things mean business. I got the other one done already though, and unfortunately, I really would have been nice with the rivets on the bottom, but you know what? I used the old holes from the staples, and they just happen to be on that side. It's no big deal. You're never going to see it. So as promised, I'm not showing you how to install the headliner because there's a video on it already, and quite frankly, I don't know what I'm doing. So Dan's here. He's been giving me a hand. I'm going to tell you what we're doing and what we're going to do, and I don't know if it's right or not, but you know what? We're just going for it. So we use some binder clips to stretch the front. We stretch the rear. I'm going to hold off on the sides. We're going to get the front because it's pretty well stretched forward and back now. It's actually looking okay. It's looking like I would expect. It's only got wrinkles going the length of the car. So that makes sense to me because we haven't tensioned the sides yet. So we're going to glue the front in place. We're going to glue the back in place. Then we're going to come and we're going to stretch the sides, clamp them, cut it, do the radius on the corners here. That's just kind of a touchy feel thing, and get it glued in place. And however it comes out, it comes out. I don't have high hopes that this is going to come out perfect because I've never done one before, but I think it's probably going to come out looking okay. Well, here's where we are. So the front is officially glued. It is pretty good. It's got a couple of creases, that bow right there, and I don't think that'll ever come out. It might with some heat. That might come out. We'll probably pull that a little tighter over there. But it's looking decent. It's looking decent. As we do the sides, we'll pull it tighter. The front is the one that's glued right now, and it looks the best. So we're just kind of, as we're stretching it, we're just kind of working it out and kind of clamped and unclamped it a bunch of times and just, kind of relaxed it, pulled it, and the clips are working out pretty good. So we did the corner cuts here for relief. So we're just moving around. So we're going to probably do the back next, or the sides. The back? We're going to do the back. We're going to do the back next, and then we'll hit the sides. Okay. So we'll show just a little sampling of what's going on here. So we're starting with the rear now that we've done the front. I did the front the same way. Kind of wanted to see how it was going to work out before I filmed anything. So what I did is I took half the clamps off, and I've got one big clamp in the middle. It's just kind of a D-mark. Let's wait for the airplane to go over. Let's everybody pause their lives for the airplane. Well, there's 7 seconds I'll never get back. All right. So if you're not familiar with using contact cement, they have headliner glue at CJ's. Come on, headliner glue. Let's use some contact cement. Same shit. I use the word shit. That means I'm going to have to, when I do my Google ads, I have to make sure it's safe for ads, so I can make 2 cents on this video. So you take your contact cement. You can take these clips off. Dan's on the inside of the car, and he's just making sure that I get all the wrinkles out when I do it, and he's going to tell me whether to pull it left and right. But Contact cement, if you're not familiar with it, you got to put it on, you let it dry. In this humidity and temperature right now, we're finding it's drying in about 3 minutes successfully. It can take up to 20. So I'm just going to take and coat the lip in it. You know, use it somewhat liberally. Get it down in here. Try and leave this open as much as possible because we do need to let it air out. So I got it on there. You're going to see the crease line where you had the clamps. So we know exactly where to put this on this headliner. So I'm just putting a liberal coat on here. Don't make it so it's so wet that it puddles, you know, but spread it out. Definitely want to spread it out. Get a good coat. Last but not least, don't forget to do the bottom side under here. Again, leaving a gap. If you have a nice paint job, make sure you keep it from getting all over the car. I masked this off because it's mastic and it's going to get everywhere when we go to put it all back together. I don't really care about this paint job too much, but just make sure we got it in here. It feels a little dry. You're working blind, you know, you got to remember that. All right. Should be good enough. It's drying so quick, so let's just give it a beat, you know, about, like I said, probably 3 minutes in this weather. It's about 35% humidity out here and about 74 degrees, so, you know, just like California is every day. All right, let's do this. So it's been about 2-3 minutes. I mean, you can tell because when it's not really tacky anymore, that means it's dry. And this stuff bonds like, well, they call it contact cement because it does. It's like concrete. It sticks and it's done. I got to pull it this direction. So Dan's kind of telling me where to put it.
Yeah.
How's that? Decent?
It's all right. You got a wrinkle right here.
I get it.
Yeah, you got a good amount of it out. Yeah.
It's so hard to manage this. Yeah, it looks okay. My Chinese clips are falling apart. Go figure. How we doing?
Yeah, you're looking good. You got a wrinkle right here.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna pull that here in
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah. It's still right here.
Yeah, there's a knob right there.
Oh. Okay. Otherwise, it looks good. Yeah, wrinkle right here.
Yeah, I'll pull it over in a second.
Yep, you're good.
Good?
You got it. Yeah, this whole section looks good.
Okay. And we're just gonna clamp it down here. And I gotta just do this one little corner piece. I've got these smaller clamps.
Can you pull it down a little bit? Because you gotta wrinkle it right here.
Don't worry about it. The gasket's gonna be right there. The window gasket's gonna be in this spot right here.
Oh, you got a big wrinkle right here.
It's glued. I can't get out of that. Cannot get out of that. That's going to be there forever because that's that same wrinkle though.
Yeah, it is.
We'll get that when we pull it down. It's on there. We'll get it when we pull this.
Put another clamp right here.
Okay. All right. That's this half. So we'll attack this other side next. You know, they tell you to leave this on here for 24 hours. I was talking to Jack, the interior guy, and he said, no. He said, let it sit for a couple hours. He said, you can put the glass in the same day. So I trust the guy that's been doing it all his life. So seriously, I think this is probably one of the most tedious jobs you can do on a car. I did screw up one spot in the corner, at the bottom of the sail over there. It's going to be partially visible. I cut it too far, but rookie mistake. But I don't mind admitting when I make mistakes, so I'm just going to have to live with it. And it's one of those things I'm going to look at for the rest of the time that I own this thing. So, oh well. So it's all glued, it's all clamped and everything. So Dan and I are going to attempt to install a windshield next. It came out pretty good. It's got a couple wrinkles in it, but you know, I think that these real light ones that I just couldn't get out of it, I think with a couple heat cycles, it's going to even out a little bit. We got it pretty tight in the other spots that are straight, so I think it'll loosen up and kind of even out. I've been told by others that it will. Got the quarter or A-pillar trims in just to kind of help clamp it. Let's see. What else? Nothing really, no real lessons learned. It's just tedious. Take your time. Hard to describe it. It's this is not for the novice. I've been working on cars a long time. I've never done a headliner before, and I'll tell you what, it's challenging. You need a lot of patience. We got the brand new car light. I think it's a car light, or if not, it's a knockoff. But it's a tinted windshield. Looks really nice. Just threw the gasket on it. You know, no real magic there. You just put it in the channel, stretch it around. We'll come back around once it's installed, and we'll put some mastic in the gasket from the front. The back, right here, that's what's going to be on the inside of the car. We're going to use this strip caulk here. Pick this up. I bought this on Amazon. You can buy it from CJ's, but why would you spend the money when you can just buy strip caulk online at Amazon for half the price? We're going to take that strip caulk and we're going to run strings of it all the way around here. Then we're going to take a string and we're going to put a string in here. CJ's has a video on this too, so I don't need to show it in detail. I'm just kind of going over it more from a personal level. Take the strings, we'll end up at the top here, and I'll just tape them to the windshield. I'll put it in. Dan and I will lay it in there. Dan's going to push on it. I'll pull the string on the inside. And when you pull the string, it quite simply flips the rubber gasket to the inside of the car. In concept, it's very easy. In practice, it's probably a little bit difficult. So just got some gloves on here. Take the strip caulk, we'll fill that up. Okay, so this is a prepped windshield. Got the string all the way around it. If you haven't seen this done before, like I said, there's other videos on it. That's why I'm not detailing it out. The strip caulk is in here. You can see it. Okay. And then the string is around the strip caulk. This thing is ready. The next thing that we're going to do, now that that's prepped, is, you know, we wanted to leave the clamps on here as long as possible. Going to just take a razor blade and we're going to trim this all the way back and pull the clamps off, and then it's go time. All right, so we're going to put the windshield in now. Got the headliner trimmed back and take all those clamps off. I'm going to get this crap out of the way because it's going to make it hard if it's in the way. Well, as you can see, it's getting dark out here, and I'm just putting the windlace in right now. I don't like that they gave me white, but it would have been blue originally, but that's okay. Still, it matches the headliner. So we got the windlace installed. There's still, you can see there's still some wrinkles in it. I'm going to try and work out. Same thing over here, but the rest of it really did come out nice. I mean, really, really nice. I would consider it acceptable. Not bad for first try. So anyways, we're just doing the last piece of windlace here. Then it gets the head rails and the weather stripping. I don't know if I'm going to do that tonight, though. And we'll pick it back up. Tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day, and this is going to be a cut-in video. So the headliner is obviously in. All these wrinkles, don't worry about them. You're never going to get them all out. couple different things you can do. Just naturally over time, they're going to come out with heat. But you can also use a steamer. I think I'm going to try that, a closed steamer, just to see if it works. David Toth had mentioned that he restores cars for a living. He said, get some steam. He said they'll come right out. I'm going to try and rework this corner over here a little bit, this sail. But in general, it looks pretty good. It's totally, I could not touch it again and I would be totally fine with it. I'm sure that over time, where the wrinkles are, there's stress points where it's tight and then the droop is where it's not. So over time, what happens is where there's more pressure, it'll kind of loosen up and take up some of the slack in some of the areas where there's wrinkles. So anyways, it'll come out. We got the windlace in and everything. So what I wanted to go over was just kind of the general, I'm already getting a ton of questions on how did you do this. I had one guy reach out to me, said he's been trying to do it. He's already tried to do one headliner, had to throw it away and get another one. This is the first time I ever did it, and I did it in a day. So I'll tell you what I did. I did watch the CJ Pony Parts video. It's somewhat helpful, but not really. So there's a lot of stuff that I think I should cover here. First of all, you lay this headliner out on a flat surface that's clean. I put a blanket down on a patio table outside. The first thing we went to do was install the Bose. I had help from Dan yesterday, which was just immensely helpful. When you go to put the Bose in, immediately you're going to notice that the tubes, the listing actually, I think it's called listing, where each one of these Bose sits, goes all the way out to the end. Well, you're going to have to, the Bose don't go all the way to the end. They stop up here in the headrail. So you're going to have to feed it in and get those Bose centered. So that's why you want to mark the center line of the headliner all the way down. Because when you put the Bose in, you want them to relatively be centered because you're going to have to slide it into the listing much further than the listing ends. I'm trying to find the best way to describe that. So the listing, say it's 60 inches long, the Bose only 50 inches long. So you're going to have to slide it all the way in. Then you're going to have to cut holes in the listing for the ends of the Bose to protrude out of. So that's how you get it to align like that. I hope that makes sense. But you're going to have to cut holes in the listing. So once you do that, then you can get the headliner in here and attach it. You got 4 Bose, right? 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This back one has the 2 wires that come forward. I think I will show those. You'll see them later in the video, but those 2 wires, that's what holds that rear bow from flipping forward or backwards. Once you do that, you stretch the front. So, and remember, your glass is out for this. So, this Daniel Carpenter gasket fit excellent in front, by the way. Really fit this windshield well. Brand new windshield, too. But you got to have it out. You stretch from the center, working your way out. Don't worry about the corners. Do those last. Okay? Then we went to the back. We stretched the back, clamping it as we go. I just use these binder clips. I bought them on Amazon cheap, and there's like, how many of them were there in here? 12 dozen. So there you go. You get 144 clips. So, which really worked out well because I used them all. We had a few left over, but we basically used the whole thing. So you stretch it out. Again, work your way from the center out. Then we worked the sides. So that's where we got all the wrinkles out. Because when you pull it straight forward, you're going to have wrinkles running this direction. So then you got to pull it this way, pull it this way, pull it this way. Now, we went back and forth probably 4 or 5 times. So we did this side, did that side, back and forth, till we got most of it out. Then we worked our way down the side of the sail. It's going to be very loose because the sail's not attached on either side. So just pick one side, attach it, come over here, attach it, stretch it, do the same thing on the other side. The sails are probably the hardest part, I think, because, well, I don't want to say the hardest part, just the hardest to get the wrinkles out of. And I've still, like I said, I still got to work this one over here. It's got wrinkles in it. And I made a boo-boo over there too, which is not good, but I cut it up too far. But you just keep working it, stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. Then once you get the sides taut, you'll want to get the wrinkles out of it. You go down. Now in the car, I don't know if anybody ever talks about this or not in any of the other videos that I've seen. See those little dimples? That's because there's little hooks built into the body. You pull it down onto those hooks and just hook the headliner to those. And I did that a few times, kind of readjusted it, and then I glued it down in that area. One of the things that you might think that'll happen, once you get it all stretched out with all the clips and everything, you're going to say, well, now I got to take it apart to glue it. Aren't I going to lose it? Not really. What we did, once we got it all clipped all the way around and it looked good, we started at the front and took half of the clips off, glued it, 5 minutes. Contact cement, it was pretty dry, not very humid, so it dried real quick. Attached it, clipped it again to help it set. Did the other side, came to the back, did that, sides, worked our way around in the same fashion. If you do it in sections, like half of each side, I think the head rails, I think we did this all in one section when we glued it. If you do that, you're really not going to lose much. It's not going to like fold up on you. It didn't for me, and I've never done this before. So, it pretty much holds its shape. But then when you go to glue it, just make sure you pull it taut again, and use those clips. They tell you in the other videos to use the windlace. I don't like that. It's too hard to put on. These little binder clips, you just, they're real easy to just do this job with, the windlace, that seems to me like it's a waste of windlace. It's just CJ Pony Parts trying to get you to buy more. Buy these things for $15 or $10 or whatever it was for that whole box. And then I use these smaller guys right here too. These like in the corners because they're narrower. These worked real well. So anyways, it came out decent for a first timer, I think. So I'm gonna spend a little time today, probably clean up these corners a little bit. But in general, it's totally livable the way that it is. It is not bad for a guy doing it in his garage. All right, so we're moving right along here. Start pulling the carpet out. I got the lower trim back on up at the windshield there. Got the mirror back in. Having some trouble with the visors. Getting the new brackets into the new visors. The rods press into them and they're just really tight. I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm going to have to look at that later. I did pull this tight a little bit more on the sides, the sails. Now it's just, I had to take the console out, which I've done a few times now, so it wasn't too hard. And just lifting the old carpet out. And no rust. There's just a little bit of surface rust here. I'll probably just shoot that real quick with some primer and paint just to keep it from getting any worse. But it's very, very minimal, just very surface rust. You can see where the water line was. So there was water sitting in here, probably from it leaking in over the years when it was sitting. And that's what this rust line is. So that also could be from the heater core, if the heater core leaked and it filled up in here. But it didn't do any damage. There's just a little discoloration. But other than that, I mean, it's an original car, There's no rust through the pans. So that's all real good news. All right, it's update time. So we're just getting the kill mat in, and I'm just working it as I go. I don't really have a particular method for this. I just try and kind of play Tetris and get the most full sheets that I can in. So I have to make kind of the least cuts. I don't fill everything completely in. I leave these open where the screws are. I don't cut around those. It's not that critical. You don't even really need to fill in these little pieces, although I am, just because I have it. But the important thing is that you want to cover the big flat areas that are like a drum. So, the tunnel, the pans, if you leave this little area open right here, it actually really is going to make much of a difference at all. You just really want to cover the main flat areas or main wide spots But this is just time consuming, not really hard. It doesn't have to look good or anything. Get yourself some rollers like these. You can buy them on Amazon, and just fill it in. And it makes a big difference. It's worth spending a couple hours to do this. It will quiet the car down substantially inside. All right, the Dynamat Kill Mat, this is the knockoff stuff, is done. Good enough coverage. Worth the few hours that it takes. Well, I got the carpet in, and I'm just about out of energy, but I'm going to try and keep going here. The pre-molded, even though I let it sit in the sun, it's still, this stuff always fights you, and then somehow it all ends up coming together always. But I've done carpet in a lot of cars, and it's physically exhausting. So, just make sure you're ready for that, because it takes a bit of work to get it in. So I'm just going to continue maneuvering it, and once I kind of get it to where I think it's fitting right, I'll put some spray glue under it just to kind of help tack it in place. It gets a couple of screws here and there that hold down the front and the rear piece. And then I'll probably use some contact cement on the side, something it's a little bit stronger. And then we'll trim the edges. So that's kind of the process, and then of course the rocker covers, or the rocker panels, and the sill plates and the rear quarter panels, those all kind of go over the carpet and kind of help hold it too. So you just don't give up. You keep going. This is definitely a lot of work. So here's one of those modifications you have to make if you installed 3-point seat belts in the rear like I did. You'll remember, if you have watched my videos for a long time, that I had notched this out in the old package tray, and I always said, well, when I finally do the interior, I will use the old package tray as a template, which is exactly what I did. I just lined it up here, marked it out, and then I just lifted the new upholstery that was already on here. This is a TMI package tray, and I just cut it out, made some slits in it, used some tin snips to make these cuts, and then I scored it. In the long parts, I scored it with a box cutter and made myself a little notch out there, and then I can just use the existing material that's left to cover it. So this will kind of look like it's supposed to be this way. So anyways, I just wanted to make sure I covered that real quick in case you've done the 3-point conversion and put the retractors underneath the package tray. This is how you do the package tray mod to make it have a cutout for the belt to go through. I'll tell you, this has been an ass kicker, but it's coming together. Got the rear seat in, package tray. You saw I got the cutouts for the belts. This all went together really nicely. It looks just super sharp in here now. The headliner, also some of the wrinkles are coming out of it just because it's been in the sun all day, so that's nice. Still got some in the back there, but I'm going to steam that and probably get some of that out. Got the center console in. I threw a couple of bolts, self-tapping screws into the carpet right here. I think I took at least one out before, so I just secured that. That's going to get covered up by the seat. Like I said, the console's in. It's all going together real nice. So I wonder if anybody's ever covered this before, but these are the kick panel carpets. I think yesterday I called it rocker panel. That shows how tired I was. So these simply get contact cemented to here, and then you get these trim pieces, which I also got, that kind of like an escutcheon across the top. So if that sits there on the panel, this goes across the top, kind of a nice little trim piece. So what we're going to do is I flipped the little tabs up because they fold over on the backside. They come folded in, which is kind of annoying. So you got to fold them out. I'm going to take and just use this because it's plastic. It's just, vacuum molded plastic. And I'm just going to line this up kind of centered. I'm going to scratch it with the little tines on the back. And that'll mark where I need to drill the holes, and I'll just drill some 1/8-inch holes or whatever. That's about what size these are. Then we're going to contact cement this. You're going to get it on the back side as well, because this rolls over the back. We're going to contact cement this whole thing, this whole lip. Okay, a lot of contact cement used in this job, if you hadn't noticed that already, in doing the interior. So anyways, we get this all coated front and back, you know, about 1 inch in on the back, and get it glued down with the holes already in it. Then I can just very easily poke this through over the top of the carpet and get that installed. And then so you have to assemble the panel first, and then you can put the panels in the car. So it's kind of a process. A lot of this is about lessons learned, and that's why you don't see me shooting video in the process. You know, I don't shoot as your host. You know, that's not my style. A lot of it is lessons learned. This came out okay. I could have been a little bit more patient with it. One of the things I did notice is the acetone in the contact cement started attacking this. So I didn't quite put it on as heavily on the second one. It's drying right now, getting ready to put together. But it will go away. It had bubbled up quite a bit, but as the acetone dries out, it shrinks back down. So don't let that bother you too much. But I slathered it on here because I wanted a real good bond, and I think it permeated through. So I went a little bit lighter, just, you know, put a light coat of contact cement around this. So, you know, just a little lesson learned there, but otherwise it came out, you know, it came out pretty good. All right, kick panels are in. They came out all right. The only trouble I had, you know, with the extra insulation and the Dynamat and everything, you know, everything is so proud now. You know, everything's so thick. So what I did was I was able to get the upper screws in. The lower screws, it was a mile away, so I used my old console screws because I got new ones with the kit. I used 2 of the old ones because they're just freaking long as hell, and I used that to drive that in, and it worked really well. Now, if you don't have a console, obviously that won't work for you, but you know, in short, you need a longer screw. But I think that they came out pretty nice. You know, they look pretty good. Well, if you've never done one of these before, you know, it's none of this aftermarket stuff fits exactly like it's supposed to, but we're pretty close. I got the sill plates in. Not really too much of a fight with those, but, you know, you do have to trim the carpet quite a bit. And I've said this before, I do not edit out my mistakes for your benefit. If you watch this, you know not to step in certain things. When I screwed the carpet down with the self-tapping screws over here, I should have poked a hole in it first, and I didn't. See what happened? I didn't even notice it as I'm screwing in the self-tapping screw. It was pulling the yarn out of the carpet, so now I got a permanent line there. Now, luckily, most of that gets covered with the seat. You're never going to see it, but again, learn from my mistakes because I make them all the time. I am not a professional at this. This is a hobby. So I guess all I got left to do is poke the 4 holes for the seat over here. And then both seats can go in. Obviously I'd take that one back out. I had it in so I could move the car. But got to take it out to do the sill plate, of course. So now that the sill plates are all screwed in, put the seats in, then the only stuff that's left, the windshield and the rear window still need to be sealed. I need to put the sealant on the back of those, and I need to put the seals back in the head rails, the new weather strip. So I still need to button up a few things, but it's looking pretty good. The floor mats really kind of bringing around that darker blue is really nice. This all came out, you know, for a guy doing it in his garage, doesn't do it for a living, not bad. I'm pretty happy with it. And you know, the other thing I noticed too when I was back in the garage is how much quieter it is inside. It's got double thick insulation. The Dynamat really makes a big difference. I could tell immediately. I'm also noticing I sit a lot higher. You know, the seats had shrunk down from, you know, the foam degrading. You know, it was 55 years old or however old it is, 56. And it's you don't realize that you sit so much higher. So it's looking pretty good. So that's this side. Here's the driver's side. Got the new steering wheel in. It's pretty easy to, it's a 5-minute job right there. Replica of the original. It's really nice quality. It's worth it's a pretty expensive steering wheel, but it's worth the money. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I got a couple of boo-boos that I made that probably I will only ever notice, but that's okay. It looks just gorgeous, and the interior just looks gorgeous. Well, I just took it for a test drive, and boy, the difference that uh, having seats that are comfortable and actually supportive makes. It just rides so much better. Let's see, we got the new steering wheel in. I put the weather stripping in. This was actually pretty easy to do. It's very tight right now. I expect that'll break in a little bit after I have the door closed for a little bit. It's just going to take some time for that to kind of break in. I'll leave the quarter windows up. I'll leave the windows up in general just to get stuff to break in. So we'll break this one off here. And I'll do a separate one on sealing the windows. That'll be probably the following week whenever this gets released. And I'll show you how to use the urethane. It's not really any magic to it, but we cover everything here. So we'll do that. I got the rear window trim coming once the front window is sealed. That's a little bit tight too when that closes, but that's okay. Like I said, it'll break in. Once we get this sealed, we'll put the trim back on, put the wipers back on, and then, some point down the road, we'll paint the car. This has just been backwards, but, the seats were real bad. And quite honestly, the funniest difference that I noticed is, this corner of this seat was real bad right here, and the seat belt kept hanging up in there, and it was driving me crazy. So that's moved smoothly now over the back of the seat. So it's just kind of a silly problem, but you sit a lot higher. You got to get used to that. Still got to get the visors in. Got to figure that out. So we got more stuff, but that pretty much covers doing the interior. Hopefully you got some tips out of it, some tricks. I didn't cover everything step by step just because it's not something I do every day, but there's all these little things that I did that, hopefully you pick something up or learn something out of this. So anyways, we'll wrap this one up.